good, hip hop? What's good? It's your boy Robb D, aka Robb DIggie, BKA, also known as the real Robb DIggie on IG. And we're gonna start today off with one of my favorite quotes from the Don Cartagena, and that is, the story takes place back in the South Bronx when at the age of 14, I was already knocking off punks and suckers were scared to death. Every time I walked by, I heard them take their last breath. That was my introduction into Fat Joe back in 1994 with the It's Real remix. And of course, everybody knows about Flo Joe and all that, but that was the song that introduced me to Fat Joe, was that joint. That's one of my favorites. And I'm just so happy and excited to talk about Fat Joe. His legacy has moved now into decades. And when I made the seasons, you guys, I didn't know he was going to battle Ja Rule. I was just telling that to our guest just now. When I put this together 4 months ago, I had no idea that was going to take place. This is how the chips kind of fell. So it was great to see Joe still involved in hip hop, still making music, still being relevant. And I just think it's awesome. And I want to give homage to Fat Joe in a great way. And to do that, I got to have a great personality to do that with me. So I'm going to introduce to you all, to the audience, DJ Chubby Chub. Now, if you don't know who DJ Chubby Chub is, you got to do your homework on this guy. DJ Chubby Chub is world renowned. He is the #1 DJ in Boston, Massachusetts. So if you are listening to me right now and you live in Boston and you don't know who Chubby Chub is, you are probably hiding under a rock somewhere. I don't know what's going on, but I'm quite sure you all know who he is. The rest of the world of hip hop knows him as well. So Chubby Chub has worked with Mariah Carey. He's worked with Busta Rhymes. He's worked with Diddy. He has worked with all kind of industry folks. He was on the road with Khalees on her road show, with the Britney Spears tour. And he is right now the road DJ for Mr. 50 Cent himself too. So I have a celebrity, ladies and gentlemen, on the show with me today. So first off, I want to bring him in. Let's bring in Chubby Chub, man. That's not even waiting no much longer, man. So we got DJ Chubby Chub in the building. Chubby Chub, go ahead and introduce yourself one time for the audience, family. What's good?
First of all, thank you for having me. I go by the name of the DJ Chubby Chub, heavy hitter. You know what it is. It's going down. Straight from the Bronx, by the way of the Boston area now. You know, I've been here for quite a while and, just blessed to be here with you as well.
Word, brother. We're glad to have you, man. And when we talk about Fat Joe, we got a lot to talk about, man. So I don't know how we're going to cram this in about half hour, but we're going to try to do the best that we can, man. So Chubby Chub, I'm a huge fan, brother. Love what you were doing to your movement. Continue to push the culture forward, continuing to DJ, being a huge presence within the DJ community, getting mad respect in that regard. And I mean, oh my God, dude, like this is incredible, man. So thank you so much for this, brother. Many blessings to you, man. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the discussion about Fat Joe. So Fat Joe, unfortunately, does not have a lot of trophies from the industry in his trophy case. One from the ASCAP, one from the Billboard Latin Music Award. However, he has been nominated for 4 Grammys and does not have a win, but that's okay. We still love Joe. We still give him respect. The albums that we're going to be talking about with Joe in the 2000s are Jealous One, Still Envy, or otherwise known as Jose, released in December 2001, which had What's Love with Ja Rule and Ashanti, It's Okay, We Thuggin' with R. Kelly, King of New York, which had Buju Banton on there. Shout out to Buju Banton, man, holding down the reggae music, man, back in the late, he's still rocking reggae right now. Wherever you at, Buju, we still love you. Salute, homie, to the big homie Buju Banton. Loyalty from 2002, All or Nothing, June of 2005, which had one of my favorite Fat Joe songs, So Much More, produced by Cool and Dre. Get It Poppin', Safe to Say, Lean Back remix. And everybody knows about the Lean Back remix, Mace, Eminem, Lil Jon, Remy Ma just destroys the track. So that was back in 2005. 2006, Me, Myself, and I was released in November 2006, which had Make It Rain, featuring Lil Wayne. And then we had Elephant in the Room, released in March of 2008. So Joe did a lot of work, as you all can tell. Ain't Saying Nothing, I Won't Tell, which is real smooth and mellow with the homeboy Jay Holiday. And That White featuring DJ Premier. And then he did Jose Part 2, or Jealous One, Still Envy 2 in October of 2009. And that is the premise for our discussion for Fat Joe in this period of hip hop. So as I mentioned, he does have a lot of trophy case, but Fat Joe, you ask anybody in hip hop and they will tell you that Fat Joe is a staple in hip hop. I don't care. He doesn't need all the, and I talked about the interview that I saw with Joe. Actually, this came out yesterday. I saw him, he gets on Instagram and talks to the people every day, man. Mad love and respect to Joe, man, for doing that, staying in touch with everybody and doing great things. But I'm going to pass the mic over to DJ Chubby Chub, our special guest. And Chubby Chub, DJ, man, what is your opinion about Fat Joe's influence on the world of hip hop? You can go back to the 90s if you want to, if you need to tell a story. I'm okay with that.
I mean, first and foremost, myself and Joe is more than music. That's my brother. Right. Love him to death. He did a lot for the Latino community. He did a lot for big guys. You know what I mean?
Word.
As myself, like, no disrespect to Have D. These are people that still very influential to this day for being a big guy. You know what I mean? Biggie. But, Fat Joe is different. You know what I'm saying? Because with Fat Joe, you had a different type of persona. You either got good Joe or you got bad Joe. You know what I mean? So in either way, always a great guy. But, the thing is, a lot of people judge the book before they read before they read it. I mean, as someone like Joe, it's just super influential. He owned businesses. He owned jackets, he owned clothing, he had, besides the music, his entrepreneur as well. Yeah. You know what I mean? Now currently owns one of the biggest stores in New York City, up NYC, where, you could get fresh, the home of the fresh, every day. And, his music just takes people to different ranges. I had the opportunity to also DJ for Fat Joe as well.
Word, salute, homie. Word, man.
We toured and we ended up getting held hostage in Africa, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah, I heard about that. I didn't know you was there, Chubby Chub. I didn't know you was there for that, man. But we'll keep that story at bay. Joe tells that story in an interview. If you all go check that out, man. We're not gonna let that cat out the bag right on this platform, but it's all good. Y'all go check out that interview Joe did about that. But I think that's dope, man. So distinctly in the 2000s, though, DJ Chubby Chub, when we talk about Fat Joe, we kind of saw a turn from his style of rap. So talk to me about that. So when we think about, Flow Joe and It's Real, and a shout out to, John Blaze, that album, I think it was not Capital Punishment. Damn, he probably gonna kick my ass if you see this shit too, man. I can't think of it off the top of my head. This album from 98. I even own the album too, but I can't think of it. However, that album becomes more of a street feel. And then when he switched to the 2000s, you kind of saw, like you mentioned, another side of Joe, where Joe was kind of like sampling more with R&B, doing some more dance music. So do you think that's a decent, when I say decent, a tactical formula for the industry, or just something that Joe just said, yo, I see the changing in times of hip hop? Because, from flipping, DJ Chubby Chub from the 90s to the 2000s, it was definitely a shift. Different sounds of music, different sampling, something like that. So when that transition took place, do you think that Joe had to remain and stay with the times, or he wanted to just do something different?
Just elevate it. You know what I mean? It's like anybody that works on a craft, they want to get better. You know what I'm saying? Think about when you heard Flow Joe, it was bust it, check it. You know what I mean? You're like, that's almost like ABC. But now he's more right to it. You know what I mean? Like Safe to Say, when you hear Safe to Say and you hear that energy, it's different. Or when you hear All I Need, then you be like, oh shit. You know what I mean? Or the song he featured on with J-Lo. He had a different appeal. You know what I mean? Yeah, Pun did what he did, but he had his own appeal. You know what I mean? And he wrote his own stuff. So he had to get better on his own. The pen game had to get better.
Yeah. I would agree. I don't know if I think his penmanship was there already, but I think to your point, he had to shift it because hip hop shifted, right? In the 2000s, we had Ja Rule who's coming up next week. Ja Rule changed hip hop, like how you approach hip hop. He changed the whole landscape. So in order to get with the times, you have to continue to adapt and inform. But when he dropped Lean Back on him, though, I was like, yo, that's a banger, man. That was in 2005. I was still wilding out in the clubs myself when that came out, and the remix when everybody was happy when Mason Betha was coming back. Like, to bring Mason Betha out of retirement, you know what I mean? And like that track is so crazy. Like, he was just able to bring people from all types of walks of life of hip hop and bring them back out. It's just, and then have Little John produce it, how hot Little John was in the 2000s. I mean, like, Joe, he just knows where to put himself strategically, you know what I mean, musically wise. And that even goes to this day, man. In 2021, we're still talking about Fat Joe. Can you believe that, DJ Chubby Chub? We're almost talking about 30 years in hip hop, and we are still talking about Fat Joe. He is still relevant in hip hop. So let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about the longevity this brother has had. So, you know, he's, you know, kind of started out crawling in the 90s, 2000s. He was really, really famous. The 2010s, he kind of hung around and made a couple of hits. I think he had what was the one joint, man, that I liked a lot? All the Way Up. He had All the Way Up that came out in the latter 2010s. And now he has his song out right now with Armageddon. So he's still finding ways to be relevant. So how do you think Joe was able to accomplish this? Because there's not a lot of MCs from this era that are still around. First off, not alone around, let alone being relevant. It's okay to be around, but we're talking about this brother is still relevant in hip hop.
I mean, being relevant means don't stop. You can't stop. You know how to change with the times and know how to keep doing what you love. The bottom line is being able to say, I love what I do. Not everybody say that. And that's a regular job. Like, somebody could be at a job for 20 years and they're never happy with that job, but they still have to keep that job.
Yeah.
Word,
man.
Hey, it's like knowing that you really want it. So when you want it, you're going to do it. Because think about it. He said he was going to retire a few times. And then now he elevated into being Jopra, where he's interviewing people and doing different things on IG. And then still made music.
Yeah, man. I think it's dope, man. I love Joe, man. I really do, man. I love the way he is passionate. I love how he gives back to the people. But you as a DJ, DJ Chubby Chub, listen to Joe differently than what I would as a fan. So my question now would be, we're thinking about the music. What tracks do you find yourself putting into your DJ mixes when it comes to Fat Joe? Which ones do you run back to usually to get the crowd moving when it comes to Fat Joe?
There's a lot. It depends what I'm doing. Like, you know, on Twitch, I do this thing called Mixtapes Made Us on Thursdays, right? So in that era, it's like when we came up with the 90s and the 2000s. So he has like a record called Jealousy. Right. It's like a big record. Like, you know, they use the Isaac Hayes, the sample. It's crazy. He got a record where they sample Maria. You know, it's like there's certain songs that'll touch you when you listen to it. Right. And I'm gonna go back to safe to say, like, once you hear them drums, that Just Blaze is just makes you feel a different type of person. Right. But now if you're in a club, of course you're gonna play the Jay Holiday, you're gonna play the All I Needs, you're gonna play, you know, Lean Back is always there, All the Way Up is always there, Slow Down, You're Killing Them, that's always there. You know, and it depends where you want to be with Joe. You know what I mean? You could still Make It Rain. It's still, you know, part of the South. You know what I mean?
Word, man. And my last question, DJ Chubby Chub, is a pretty important one. You being from the borough of the Bronx, from what I remember correctly. Now you reside in Boston, of course, but being your origins are from the Bronx, what does Fat Joe mean to the Bronx, New York? We're talking about my virtual backdrop is giving homage to Trinity Ave. He always shouting out Trinity Ave. And I want to make sure that I wanted to reiterate that message in this episode today. So what does Joe mean to the borough of the Bronx, man?
A stand-up guy.
Word.
Stand-up guy. You know what I mean? And there's nothing else more easier than say what a stand-up guy is.
Word. Well respected. I just think about all the, man, he's got so many features, man. Joey Crack plus Gak, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, like Joe was so dope, man. Like, I love Fat Joe to death, man, for real. And that was like, you know, even the new stuff, you know, I like the Armageddon joint he's got out right now. Real smooth, real classy with the Luther Vandross flip on it. I love that, man. That is, yo, I mean, like, he just knows how to chameleonize himself, DJ Chubby Chub. He knows how to do it, and he's still relevant. And I just, I'm just amazed at how long he's been able to. And I think Fat Joe's around. Well, we're gonna give the brother's age, but he's probably about 10 years older than me. Y'all gonna figure out that math. But he's still relevant. You know what I mean? Like he's still being a staple in hip hop, and him with the verses. Now, I want to get your opinion about that, DJ Chubby Chub. A lot of folks thought he lost that versus battle. So I'm gonna ask you on the record, when it comes to the versus battle with him and Ja Rule, who do you think was declared the winner? Was it Joe? Was it Ja Rule? Or was it just hip hop culture? What do you think about that?
You know, apparently you're gonna be biased to who you think is what. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, I'm Team Fat Joe, no matter what. So for me, Fat Joe won. You know what I mean? So I can't even describe the situation, but it was great. You know what I mean? It was great for hip hop. You know what I mean? It was definitely, it was dope. You know what I'm saying? I love the fact that he came out with the green army jacket. You know, he kept that whole energy. And I love when he did the feature over the LL Cool J. Like, who the fuck you think you saw? Like, you know, that energy was that was just me. You know what I mean? So, and me knowing the kind of person Joe is, that's what really made me feel like, okay, we good. It's all right. And he did what he did.
Yeah. Yeah, that's real, man. I think I loved it. Actually, if y'all didn't know, you know, like I mentioned last week, that verses is the most watched verses of all time. Of all the verses we've had, that one is the most watched. They hold the title with that. But I thought it was great. I'm just mad at Joe. If you see this, man, I wish you would have did so much more, because that was my joint, man. Like that was I really want him to come out with that. And I was waiting for it, DJ Chubby Chub. I was like, all right, he gonna wait. But he didn't play it, man. I was like, damn, Joe, you got so much in your arsenal you could have played, bro. Oh, man. I was like, he got two. I wonder how he well, I mean, I think that's probably for a conversation afterwards, DJ Chubby Chub. But I just want to think about how he put that together, because he got a lot more that he could have pulled out of his bag, man. I just felt like he held back on it. But it's all good, man. It was a good battle, good for hip hop. Good to see Ja Rule. We'll talk about Ja next week. Matt loved the Ja Rule. Man, shout out to Remy Ma. Just was bodying. We're talking about just blow by blow, the Big Pun verse on the Deep Cover remix. Like, just I was like, oh my God. Like, and then to make it so bad, right? You know, on one of the albums, you know, in the 2000s, Joe talked about, you know, that Big Pun is the greatest rapper that ever lived. And some tend to believe that. And you know, I would definitely put him up there as one of the best lyricists of all time, period. Dead or alive, right? But when you think about the way that Big Pun was able to put syllables and words together, that shit is hard to do. And for Remy Ma to recite his lyrics word for word, bar for bar, without missing a beat, it's incredible, man. Like, it's incredible. It's incredible, man. So shout out to Remy Ma. Shout out to the Terror Squad. Shout out to Fat Joe. We love Fat Joe and his platform. And we just got to start wrapping things up, DJ Chubby Chub. And what we're going to do here in a little bit is pay homage to the life and memory of Breonna Taylor. And how we have been doing that throughout the season is I will say justice for, you will say Breonna Taylor. So we'll do that 3 times just to make sure to keep at the force and foremost everyone's mind that social injustice is still real. And on this platform, we definitely don't want it to be silenced out. So 3 times for me, DJ Chubby Chub. Justice for
Breonna Taylor.
Justice for
Breonna Taylor.
Justice for
Breonna
Taylor. Rest in peace, my mom. We love you, and your memory will always stay in the foremost of our mind. May your soul continue to rest in peace. So with that being said, DJ Chubby Chub, man, it's been great having you on, brother. I feel like I got a celebrity on here, man. Like I feel like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this dude is, man, you all right though, man. You a humble cat, man. I thank you for that, brother. And let you get your shout outs off, man. So who you shouting out this week, my good sir?
Just shout out everybody that shows support and love. You know what I mean? And I thank you for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Word, man. We appreciate you. It's flies in my face, man. Damn, man. In my own basement, man. It's flies bugging me. Shout out to DJ Chubby Chub. Shout out to you, your movement. If you all don't know or not following DJ Chubby Chub, I'll put his IG in the description of the video here, so you all can show DJ Chubby Chub love and support. The brothers continue to do many, many things for hip hop. And I would love to see you come back, DJ Chubby Chub, for 50 Cent. I'd love to hear your thoughts on him as well, too, man. So you're more than welcome to come back. And let's talk about 50 when we get to him later on in the season, man. You're more than welcome. The door is open for you. Shout out to all our followers, supporters, and fans. Shout out to the Queen Jessica for putting this together. I love you, babe. I know she's out there doing great things. Shout out to my son. Today's his birthday today. He's turning 20 years old. I love you, son. Happy birthday to you. And the last thing I'm going to say about actually, let's take us looking forward to next week. Next week, we're going to be talking about the other half of the biggest verses of all time. That's what's coming up next week, right? But I want to leave you guys with this real quick to close things out. Of course, it's got to be in the Fat Joe fashion. And that is, yesterday's price is not today's price. All right, y'all be safe, be easy, be humble, man. Stay hip hop, 100. Peace.
One.